Hello, and welcome back to Happy Stitching from Magic Hour Cross Stitch Supplies. I'm Donna,
And I'm Serena.
and we are here today to explore some different kinds of metallic threads. Now, we came across something of DMC, a DMC product called Diamant. I guess I'm pronouncing that correctly, or Diamant, or whatever, but anyway, it comes on a big tall spool. And it's different from the smaller spools that you may be familiar with. Now, I belong to a number of Facebook groups for cross stitchers, and the total is like 15,000 people. And I have never seen a post that mentions this product. I don't know why, but nobody seems to ever use this. I've never seen a pattern that calls for it or anything. So I thought we would try it out and see why it's there and its relative qualities compared to, we have some light effects and some Krennic braid. And we also have the short, broader spools that you may be familiar with. And these are all, except for the Krennic, of course, these are all DMC products. So we're opening up our very first spool of Diamant. We've got a lovely silver and a gold. So I'm going to use the gold thread.
I'm going to use the silver.
And we're going to just check it out. So as we unspool it, we also have out some samples of the other ones, and we're just going to check it out. So here, you take this one and see how you like it. That's the silver. I've got the gold here, and just looking at it as it comes off the spool, it's really pretty. It's a very beautiful color. I see that the color name is D3821, this gold one. What's
Mine's
yours?
D168. We looked up this earlier because we were curious, and it does match the 168. We didn't check the 30 something or other.
3821.
And it does match the 168 in regular cotton floss.
So DMC, you probably know, does match up their colors. So, for example, 310, that's black, but E310 is light effects in black. S310 is their satin floss in black, and like that. So I'm pretty sure this 3821, that's going to be their Diamant. D3821 is going to be Diamant in this yellow color. And that is a yellow because I was just doing a moon on my Halloween picture, and it's 3822, and so that's yellow. So I'm sure it's matching up the same as all their other products. So as I'm pulling it off the spool, I'm just running it between my fingers, and it feels really nice and smooth. It's really very shiny, and that doesn't have the like the bumpiness that I've come to expect from these others. Now, here
What
I've
about
got.
the polyester one? Is it
Oh
bumpy?
yeah, the spool,
Yeah, the spool
the
one.
short wide spool. I'm
Yeah,
just
the one
gonna
that
take
looks
a little
like
bit.
coats
Yeah, it looks like a coat spool
as opposed to a Gutermann
Yeah,
spool.
exactly. So if you feel this, feel the difference. This one's
This-
quite bumpy.
Yeah, this one's a lot bumpier.
It is. I was just using this gold version of the short wide spool in the moon that I just mentioned with the 3822. I had just blended it to give a little bit of shine on that. And it was fairly easy to work with. Probably a little bit easier than light effects. Most people don't like using the light effects, or I won't say most. Some people don't like using light effects because it can be hard to tame. It likes to tangle up. I would think most of the metallics are the same way they like to tangle, but they're made of metal, so they tend to get staticky. So that's why I like to keep a little square of dryer sheet handy when I'm using a metallic, and just rub it down the length of the thread when it starts to get annoying.
Wait. Did you just say it's made of metal?
Well, it's metallic. It's probably not really metallic, but it is made of Well, this smaller spool is 100% polyester. Polyester is subject to static electricity.
But it's not metal.
No, you're right. It's not metal. Yeah, I shouldn't say it's metal. It's metallic colored. That's where the metallic comes in. There is no metal involved in this product. The Diamant is 72% viscose, 28% polyester.
And viscose is?
Viscose is a naturally derived fiber, but they make it out of cotton or bamboo or like all kinds of different stuff, even sugar cane. And what they do is they shred it up and then they give it a bath in I think it was hydrogen sulfide or hydrogen sodium, or I can't remember, sorry. But it was an acid bath that makes the cells come apart, and then it gets processed with other components, and then when it's put back together, it's formed into a thread. So it's kind of a man-made fiber that's made of naturally derived substance. So Lugana is made of half of that. It's about half viscose, half cotton. So that's why the Lugana has that sheen to it. It's also, I think it's related to rayon in its composition. So that's why
rayon was like a plastic fiber.
It's not plasticky. It's the article that I read referred to the rayon frequently. So I'm not really clear. I'm not a chemist or an engineer. I'm just a stitcher. So I know that the ones that say viscose have that sheen to it as Lugana does, and this thread made of viscose. Not that one, that's the little one. This is the Diamant, has the viscose in it. And I don't have the packaging on I have it on the light effects here, but I don't have the bit that says what it's made of. Well, I do here. It says 65% viscose, 35% polyester. So it looks like one of the main differences is that the different proportions of viscose to the cotton, or polyester. And the Krennic, let's see if it says what it's made of. It says polyester metallic. Doesn't say anything about. Pardon?
Specific.
It is very specific. Yeah, no percentages or anything. It just says polyester metallic, which that's what this one says too. The Diamant. It actually says 28% polyester metallic, but it says it in French. DMC is a French company, as you may know. Okay, so the feel of it is very smooth coming off the spool. It's smoother than the other shorter spool that you may be more familiar with. And I'm just going to check here. You got a piece of the light effects over there?
No.
Here's some. If you feel that, that's even bumpier.
Yeah, that's really rough.
Oh, you think that's rough? Here, check out this Krennic braid. This is number 4, very fine Krennic braid. It's very bumpy.
Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah, this is mind you, it's quite a bit thicker too.
Yeah.
Well, so this braid, it's a braid. Yeah. This is not a blending filament. This is the braid. But a lot of patterns call for this.
Yeah,
so this would be the thickness is like 2 strands of 6-strand cotton. It looks to me.
Corbets.
Pardon?
Especially the Mirabilias.
Yeah, the Mirabilias almost all call for these. And it seems to be a frequent choice of designers when they want to add a little bling. But you know what? It's your pattern and you can add whatever bling you want. I always add a little bit of metallics in somewhere in my patterns because I like metallics. I like how they shine.
Yeah.
Okay, so the comparisons of the 3 on the feel, it seems like the Diamant is the smoothest and the Krennic braid is the roughest. So we're just going to do a few little test stitches here and see how it is to stitch with. I've got some needles threaded up. I've got a needle with one filament of one thread of the light effects. So it's been a while since I stitched with it, so I thought I would start with that. And I do remember that it does tangle frequently, which is on the Facebook groups. That's what everybody complains about, is the tangles and the fraying at the end. I would think
the fraying at the end is.
Yeah, it's a nuisance, isn't it? It seems like you waste more than what you use sometimes. But it depends. It does extend how much of the thread you can use if you use a few basic strategies for stitching with light effects or any metallic. So one of them is the dryer sheet trick. I store my light effects thread with dryer sheet, a little square of dryer sheet too, in a little plastic baggie. You can get them at the dollar shop, or you can get them from stitching shops or whatever. And the noise you hear is the needle going through. I'm using an 18 count Ada to do these test stitches, but my needle is a 24, so it's a little big for this fabric, but that's okay. We'll carry on anyway. And I'm finding that the stitches with one strand of the light effects on the 18 count Ada does leave a lot of fabric in between. So if I was going to do this on a pattern, I would probably opt for 2 strands.
Really? Even on an 18 count?
Yeah, I use 2 on an 18 count. My Kingfisher is 18 count, and I'm doing 2 with that. I like really good coverage. That's a personal choice. I like 2 strands on 14. I usually use 3. If it's, I use 1 if it's a 28 count over 1, something like that. But usually I use at least 2.
Maybe I like to only use 2 unless it's like a really high count, like the 32 count linen or something like that.
The 32 count what?
Linen.
Linen. Oh yeah. 32 count linen over 1.
Yep.
With a single strand.
Yep.
Oh, look at you with your young eyes. She's the daughter. I guess you guessed that. I'm the mother in our little team here. So yeah,
we talked in that last podcast.
Yeah, that's right. But and our voices are quite similar too, I think.
Yeah. People on the phone go, "Oh, hi, Donna." I was like, no.
Okay, so I'm finding the light effects would probably need 2 strands on, or my preference anyway would be 2 strands. So here, you have a look at this and see what you think. Let me just finish these last couple
I'm
of
bending
stitches.
your needle.
Oh, that's that little tiny petite?
Yes, the petite needle, the tapestry needle.
I think that's the Bowen.
Well, it's Bowen now.
Good one. Okay, so let's see what you got. This is just 4x2 stitches with 1 strand. It's actually not too bad. Let's see. Oh, that's so pretty. And that's the diamond, or that's light effects? I gave you a light effects strand, right?
No, you gave me a diamond. It's definitely diamond.
Is it?
Yeah,
or
feel
is
how
this?
smooth it is.
You can tell by the feel. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not very rough at all. See?
Oh, you're right.
I've definitely
That's really pretty. I just love the shine on that thread.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be shinier than the equivalent in the other spools. Mm-hmm. Certainly shinier than the Krennic. The Krennic is, I find it quite rough.
All Krennics, or just specifically the number 4 braid? That's what.
Well, there's blending filaments too, and those 2 types are probably the ones that most people would use. But there are other kinds.
If the blending filament, because I've never used a blending filament. I've never used any metallic at all. is the blending filament as rough as the braid and the light effects?
Um, it's been a while since I used it. I think it's a much smoother one, but I think it tends to be more plasticky, less like it feels like it's more polyester probably, but it's meant to be blended with another. So I like the light effects with one strand on the 18 if it's not too big a patch, but I would probably do a test bit on a pattern to see which one I would like to do. So now I'm threading up the short spool a little bit. I have a silver here, and I'm just going to do a little bit of comparison. I'm going to use one strand of that to, I should have brought in my gold spool, but it's with my project, with my Halloween project where I was doing the moon with some of it. And I'm going to try some just a single filament. I'm finding that this is like all the other metallics that I've used, this short spool, which does not have a name, by the way. I don't know why they didn't give it a specific name. It just says DMC metallic thread. So I can't refer to it by name. Apparently it's a nameless product on the
Maybe
DMC.
it came out before light effects and they were just going to call them all that because it's got a color designation.
Yeah, but there's only 3 colors of that, or at least that's all that was on the website because I went and looked. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's been around forever and they just thought that's all the metallic threads they'll ever make, so they just called it metallic thread.
Maybe. Because DMC's been around since like the 1800s, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Okay, so this is a single filament of the, well, sorry, what I was saying was, as most of the other metallics, it's made up of, it looks like a single until you try to thread it.
Right.
And then the ends all don't want to talk to each other and they spread out like jazz hands. And you need to either thread each of those individually, which is what I usually resort to, or if you're lucky and have a big needle, you can get them all in at once. But this is also light effects. It has 3 of those little strands twisted together for each thread, and this also, the short spool also has 3. And you're using the short spool now too?
Yes.
And how are you finding it?
It's not bad. It's very much like the Diamant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it could be the weave of the 18 count because it's a pretty wide weave for an 18 count.
Yeah, it is.
It
I
could be
noticed
16
that.
actually.
If this is the same piece we had at the workshop, I counted it and it's 18.
Then it's 18. Then it's a wide weave 18.
It is. I noticed that the holes are pretty prominent.
It could be I'm used to stitching 18 on a hand dyed.
It could be, or because the hand dyed it's a little softer, yeah. And also it could be a different brand.
Right.
This could be a DMC or Charles Craft, and the hand dyed is the Zweigart. So that will make a big difference too. So there's so many different factors that go into what thread is right and how many strands of it you need. That's why it's important to do some test stitching when you're trying out a new fabric and thread combination, because you never know what the variances are between the two. Okay, so I'll just do a few more stitches here, and we're going to have a look at what the appearance is after doing a test of one strand on this 18 count. Now I can see that here. What do you think? Have a look. Don't lose my needle.
I'll try.
So what do you think? This gold is the light effects and the silver is the short spool.
It looks a lot like the Diamant. It's hard to tell them apart.
Well, I noticed when I was stitching with it that the diamant or diamant, whatever, is actually easier to pull through because this is the same needle too, by the way. So I just unthreaded the gold and put the silver on. So the comparison would be fair, which means I should use that same needle for the next level, which is going to be the diamond. But it did pull through more easily. The smoother one, that would be the spool. And now I'm going to thread up the diamond on the same needle so we get a fair comparison. And I got 2 out of 3. That's not bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's what they say. Okay, give me a minute to finish threading here. And why don't you thread up some of this krennic?
Because I've got the tiniest needle in the world.
Here, use this bigger needle.
Thanks.
I have a 24, size 24 needle for you because it's really make it so much easier to have the right size needle. So if you try to use too small a needle, you spend more time trying to thread the darn thing than you do stitching, which is just a waste of time. Valuable stitching time down the tubes, threading the needle. Okay, so I've got some of the diamond.
Okay, and I've got some krennic braid.
Okay, I've got 1 strand of the diamond, and I'm just going to start doing a few test stitches and see how it feels. Now this was the smoothest pull. Oh, that is nice. It glides through very nicely.
The krennic braid not so much.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Even with the big needle?
Yeah, you can feel how rough it is.
I think I would...
It's barely touching the sides, but it's more than a diamond.
You're doing 1 strand?
1 strand.
Okay, well, I think with this very smooth diamond, I would leave a longer tail as I'm starting my stitch row.
Now, what does the longer tail actually do?
Well, because it's so smooth, if I leave too short a tail, it's going to pull right through and then my stitches will come out or at least come loose. Or at least that would be my concern. So a little bit longer tail, and just make sure I'm just going to make sure I catch it again and again underneath so it's not hanging off my project, but it is well secured. So with a simple cotton, I don't usually bother because once you start stitching, it's pretty well locked in place. But with this, I would make sure I catch it under at least another couple times.
Yeah, I usually use. I thought you meant like a longer tail off the needle, not like.
Oh no, I mean when I'm stitching, when I started my stitch row.
Yeah, because I was about to say, because I do usually leave a pretty long tail when I'm stitching, even with cotton thread. But I also don't double park when I close off a needle, so I guess it all evens out.
You don't double what?
Don't double go through the fabric twice when I.
Oh, I see.
Cut off a needle.
Okay. Well, this diamond is so smooth it just came right off the needle. I had to rethread. But it went back on again very easily. It was the easiest to thread of the 3 I've tried so far.
Really? Do you think it's because... Well, is the spool 1 core thread? Like 1 soft thread around some...
No, it doesn't seem to be. It looks like they put it together the same way as the other 2. 3 filaments, just not twisted together like regular thread is when you look at it really, really closely. They're loosely twisted. So they're not twisted tight. And that's why you get the jazz hands thing on the tips when you cut it. And after you've started using it. Now I've only done 4 stitches of this, and it's the same as with the other ones. I can see the 3 filaments are starting to repel each other.
Yeah.
See that? Right at the end.
This is Diamant or light?
This is the diamond, but they all did the same thing.
Right. Well, that's the nature of the beast, really.
Yeah, that's metallic thread for you. So that's what I didn't bring a piece of dryer sheet, but if I did, that would have helped that. But it's not going to make any difference for 8. I'm just doing a little 8 stitch patch here. So I would, if I was going to do a really serious test, I would do a bigger patch to compare like if I was test stitching for a project, because it's harder to see on a little patch to see if there's fabric sticking out in between the stitches. But for just this purpose, just 8 stitches is enough. And I'm just about there. How are you doing over there?
I'm almost done my second row of stitching.
Oh, good. Me too. See, you've gotten really fast. You've had a lot more practice, I guess.
Yeah. Well, not lately, but still.
But still, I know we've been busy in the shop and with all kinds of website things, but stitching is important. I try to stitch every single day. Okay, so I did my little patch of Diamant, and you can tell the difference in between the light effects. So the single filament, that's single filament 2, is these the coverage looks to be a little better with the light effects. Can you see?
No, you're
Here.
not right.
Sorry, I'm gonna stick the needle into the fabric because I don't have a needle minder on now.
Okay. This is the light effects? The one on the far?
The one on the left, the gold on the left is the light effects. So I think the coverage is a little bit better.
Yeah, the light effects is a little bit better. And it seems a little bit, I don't know how, but it seems smoother. Like
the finished stitching patch?
No, like flowier. Like
Oh.
it's less angular, but it could just be me.
Well, I think the bumps are probably what gives it the fill to fill in the spaces between the fabric in between the stitches.
Maybe.
Because definitely the coverage on the Diamant is not as good. If this was on my project, I would probably want to use 2 strands.
Right.
And the small spool it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as good as the light effects, but it was a lot easier to use. So it's a trade-off for
Now,
sure.
how does this compare to the
Let's
dark
have a look.
gold of the Krennic braid that I just used?
Oh, wow. See, that's so pretty. It's so sparkly. These are all really, really beautiful threads. There's no doubt about it. They're very shiny, and I know from past experience that the shine stays even if you have to wash it and iron it after your project is finished.
Didn't you use the number 4 Krennic braid in the buckle and the witch's hat?
Yes, that's why it was sitting there on the table waiting for me to pick it up for this podcast. It just happened to be handy. So yes, I find how did you find it to stitch with?
It was okay, but I was using a very big needle on a fairly fine fabric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not a very big patch.
That is not a very big
It could be
patch.
that I've been stitching today on some 32 count linen and that's what I'm used to.
Maybe. Why don't you try some of the Krennic on your 32? You got a patch there? Use
Yeah,
the
but
big needle.
The big needle, really?
Yeah. A big needle on a fine fabric.
Don't
Just
that make the holes enormous on the 32 count linen 1/1?
well, maybe not a 24. Here,
Yeah.
I'll swap you for my 26. I'll just rethread here for you. So comparing the coverage issue between these 4, and the 4 being light effects, short spool, tall spool, that's the Diamant, and the Krennic. The coverage was definitely the best with the Krennic, with 1 strand on 18 count. Here you go, sweetie. The feel of it, the Diamant was definitely the smoothest, and then the short spool, and then the light effects, and then the Krennic braid. Ease of use, well, that's hard to say because in on some fabrics, one strand of the braid, for instance, would be the same, give the same coverage as two strands of, say, the short spool or the diamond. So is one strand of Krennic easier to use than two strands of the diamond or short spool?
2 apples and 3 oranges, really.
Yeah, it is kind of apples and oranges. And again, a good place to just try out a few stitches and see how you like it. Because everybody has their own preferences, and what's perfect for one person would be horrible for somebody else. So it's very difficult to say.
So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander.
Not always. So this is a really
Okay, I'm
good...
going to put this down as nearly impossible.
Oh, really?
1/1 with number 4 Krennic braid and a size 26 needle is not good.
Oh, that is pretty thick. So that would be another thing then, is if you're using very fine fabric, that's stitched over one though.
Yeah, that's stitched over 1. I don't stitch over 2.
Okay, well, on a very fine fabric, then you might want to sub a Krennic with one of these diamond ones. I'm looking at these two. The colors are not identical, of course, because I'm looking at the diamond gold and this Krennic gold. The diamond gold 3821 and Krennic very fine braid number 4 202HL is what the specifics. High luster, that's right. So they're the Krennic is a little bit darker, but boy, the diamond is sure shinier.
Yeah,
maybe it's because it's so smooth.
Now, not being very familiar with Krennic and stuff, but having looked at a lot of embellishment packs for patterns for the shop, I always thought high luster would be extremely shiny, like shinier than light effect, and I'm very surprised to find that it's not.
I don't know how they come up with their designations.
Maybe
because
it's comparative to other Krennic?
That would make sense, but I think all of the Krennics are shiny. They're all kind of metallic based, the ones that I've used anyway. Well, the blending filaments are shiny, but I don't think they're classed as metallics. But they also are very shiny. So I'm not sure how high a luster does it have to be before they call it high luster.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So I guess that's subject for some other research stitching. I do notice that the silver got the short spool and the tall spool of the DMC. These are both DMC, the diamond and the short spool, and these colors are almost exactly the same. But you can tell the difference in the color.
One's darker.
This short spool is a little bit darker, but this is so much shinier. And when I did the test stitching, the shiny silver was just so beautiful.
Yeah,
it looked like high quality silver jewelry. That kind of beautiful lustrous shine of silver was just gorgeous. So I really like the diamond. Overall, if I had to choose just one metallic and I could, for my project, and I could select from anything, I would probably choose the diamond if the color was there. There are 12 colors of diamond. There are several metallic, like gold and silver. There's one black and gold. I haven't seen that one yet.
So it's like a variegated?
I'm not sure.
Or just kind of sparkled intermingled?
I'm not sure, but we're going to order some and find out. Okay. And there's also red, blue, green, oak.
I might get some green.
Yeah, some green would be nice. And so there's a few colors, not that many, of the diamond. Only 3 colors of the short spool.
And 2 of them are gold.
And 2 of them are gold, right? There's a dark gold and a light gold. There are many colors of Krennic. And Light Effects comes in 35 colors. So I
thought it was 30 colors.
No, 35 colors. I looked it up today. So I do enjoy putting a little bit of sparkle, and I often replace if there's a light effects color uh, the equivalent for a color in my pattern. I often will substitute it and put some metallic in there wherever I like, because I like metallics. Even though it takes longer because you have to do it a little slower. Another tip is to put the needle straight in. Well, it's not the needle, it's the thread. When you're pulling the thread through the fabric, pull it at a right angle to the fabric, not at a sharp angle. And that reduces the drag, and then that reduces the amount of static electricity that builds up.
Right.
So most of the problems with metallics are because of static electricity.
Not shredding?
The shredding part, the tangles is static. The shredding part is just the nature of the metallics, because it is very, very fine filaments put together. The fine filaments are not as strong as on cotton, so it does shred in your needle.
Mm-hmm.
But even that is helped somewhat by pulling it straight through each time. You can also do finger laying. Well, you'll have to watch the video on that one, because that's really hard to explain on a podcast. But,
I've never done it, so I can't really help.
Well, it's really easy, and when you get the hang of it, within a few minutes, it becomes second nature, and it really helps your stitches also to look really nice and neat and all conventionalized, to look all exactly the same.
And do you do this with cotton thread too, or
yeah? You can do it with any kind. But we'll talk about that another time, about laying tools, laying your stitches. And or we might do it as a video, since it is kind of a visual thing. But that's for another day and another talk, and we'll save that for then. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed our program today.
And how can people get a hold of you?
You can email me at donna@magichourcrossstitchsupplies.com. And I will love to hear all your questions. We didn't even get to a question today. We were having so much fun with our exploration of these threads. So usually we have a question from our listeners, and if you have any kind of cross stitch related question, I would love to hear from you. Please email me. You can also find us on facebook.com /Magic Hour Cross Stitch. So you can message me through there or email me, and I would love to answer your questions. And Serena is also very knowledgeable, and we work together as a team. So we will talk to you again, and so in the meantime, happy stitching from Magic Hour Cross Stitch Supplies. Bye now.
Bye.